Some new music.
I like it.
You know why?
It's a new year.
It's a new year. Got the cheesy Happy New Year effects. Happy 2022.
Wow.
We made it.
Amazing.
It is amazing. So today we're talking about some lessons that we learned in 2021 and 2020.
Yeah, it all kind of ropes in together.
Yeah, we'll get there. But we're going to talk about some lessons that we learned, and we are going to do sort of like a state of the salon. Mm-hmm. What we think is happening, where we think things are going, where we think things are going. So yeah, here we are. So obviously, we'll dive right in. There's a ton of topics to go over. The pandemic. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest one we had to face. So our salon and many others out there, I'm sure, opened during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Not our plan, but we dealt with it. So I think we took the keys to our space in December of 2019.
Correct.
And our game plan was to open March 2020 or before. Mm-hmm. And we were on track. And
the week we were supposed to open was the week everything shut down.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So when we say we were supposed to open, it's not just like...
Yeah, we were
close.
Supposed to open, and I think we were going to open right when all the other states were shutting down. So we decided to hold off, and like the next week or that week.
Within a few days, it was done.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We were shut down.
Side note on that, if you think about it, when we did finally open, we had never even worked in that space or like stepped foot in it.
No, brand new business.
It was a whole different world. It was crazy, actually.
It was. So I wanted...
Still not ready to deal with it, I don't think.
No, I want to put that behind us. So I want to deal with getting into the lessons that we learned.
Yeah, that's what's important.
Okay, before we dive in, I have to thank our staff. Okay, so we had... These are amazing. I'll put a close-up. But these mugs say Hello Hair Pro. So shout out to our wonderful staff.
They're the coolest.
For the coolest Christmas gift
you guys rule.
Ever. Now, I think it's a thoughtful gift, yes. But I also think they were tired of looking at us with mismatched cups.
Some have some OCD.
I think that was the biggest.
And now
story.
They match, and they're so
They do
cute.
match. They're awesome.
And they're white, which I just love.
And they'll, maybe Yeti should sponsor us. Reach out.
Sure.
Hello Hair Pro podcast. So it's 2022. We didn't do any of the introductions we normally do. So yeah, welcome.
New year, new you.
If you're listening, yeah, welcome to the Hello Hair Pro podcast. My name is Todd. I'm here with my wife and business partner, Jen, who
Hello.
We've already been talking. So let's dive in. What are some of the lessons that we learned or we think about over the last 2 years?
Personally, I think for me was how to pivot quickly.
That's a big one.
But also in a way that would lead people so they felt safe and comfortable, and that we had their back. Not like pivot, and when I say quickly, not like spastically though, in a way that had thought to it and why, and this is what we're doing. But realize once we laid that out, we didn't have a lot of time to think about what that was like either. So that was interesting to be thrown a lot of curveballs over the last 2 years, and yet quickly find our thoughts. Where do we stand? How do we feel? And what do we want to do about this? Like, back to when we could open in May of 2020, we chose to wait a week or two. I don't actually remember. And first, I was just scared to death over everything that was happening. And second, we had never worked in the space. So it was like, we need to go in and go through some motions rather than just be like, we haven't been open for a few months. We just need to make money. It was like, no, we still need to do it in a way that has a reason to it. But that, it was like, yeah, that's right. Like, let's do that.
I think that goes back to the pre-planning of your business, or not pre-planning, but planning of your business, where you have those core values and all those things to rely on to make decisions quickly.
Yes.
If you don't have that stuff laid out, you probably realized real quick when you're running around like a lunatic we all were trying to figure things out and navigate that new sort of landscape.
We had staff that was like, I need to work, I need to make money. So at first it was like, yeah, we're just going to open. And then I like over the next 24, 40 hours, I'm like, I'm not ready. And that was probably my first step in a new leadership role. I'm not ready means we're not ready. So this is going to change. And that was a hard conversation to have. You mean
personal growth, like your growth as a leader?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And cool. That's when it was like, no, we need to go in. We need to do some here and there and learn how to navigate through what has been thrown at us. And then we will open. And some people liked that and some people didn't. And it's what we chose to do.
We stuck to our game plan. Yeah, it was not an easy set of decisions to make by any means.
I can't imagine if you weren't leading your salon well, mentally, the toll that took on you, like prior, and then you had this to deal with.
Yeah, so I think the pandemic too was the straw on the camel's back for some businesses that weren't running properly, and I heard all sorts of there are wild statistics out there. Someone told me recently that 60% of salons closed during the pandemic.
Well,
I
doubt that.
I don't know if I buy that, and they couldn't tell me where they saw it, so I couldn't research it, and then I moved on. But I do think some salons closed. I don't think it was because of the pandemic. I think it was because of what you're talking about, leadership.
Yeah.
There's probably a lack of leadership.
That path might have been what they were on, and they didn't realize they were on it until that
correct
hit.
And then I think from what we've seen locally, and I'm sure this is on a larger scale across the country and even other countries, I think your staff realizes you're prepared or you're not. Mm-hmm. Now, no one was prepared for a pandemic, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a set of rules and guidelines that you abide by.
Or that you don't step it up to get where you need to be.
Because I see a lot of people moving salons or moving to rental or moving back from rental or realizing rental's not what they want to do or realizing they want to be on their own or whatever.
Right.
Or realizing the salon they've been at for 20 years is no longer going to meet their
needs. Yeah, it definitely shook things up for sure.
It did. And I think that is something that happened that's a positive. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see businesses close ever. But some businesses, like if you're not going to progress, if you're not going to move forward, then I don't know what to tell you. Might be time. Yeah, unfortunately. So along with that, I think one of the lessons that people learned was you need some reserves. You need some money.
Yeah.
There needs to be cash available. There were some laws and things that, I don't even know if there were laws, but some rules and regulations put in place for rent and landlords and things like that. Ours didn't give a shit.
Yeah, and we
wanted his money
because we were opening. Then we didn't qualify for any of that. So truly,
yes,
we were in a real shitty spot. And yes, ours didn't. But here's also again, if you are a leader and professional and mature, you can work through things. And as much as ours didn't give a shit,
we continued to have conversations with them.
Yes, we did. They were not, it was not comfortable at all, but
and they didn't go our way most of the time.
But we did them and stuck to our ground, and this is where we sit, and this is what we can do, and at the end of the day, it all worked itself out.
Agreed. We're still standing, so.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things that people can pick up on quite easily is that if you're that old school KPI metric-based salon, and there's nothing wrong with that if you are, but like let's step into the modern world.
So we were just talking about this before we went on to start recording, but those salons, I don't know if you were a number-based salon. So saying that meaning everything you do with your staff is based on their service sales and their retail sales, and that's how you give raises and whatever that does for you. I don't know how those salons survived the last 2 years, because with COVID and the flu and whatever else, people were dropping like flies and out for weeks at a time. And legally they had to be out if they were exposed, or if they were exposed and they still live in the same house. I mean, some people were out for a month. So in the world before that, you would never have somebody out as much as they were in those years, or some salons had to close for weeks at a time. So were you able to pivot? And whatever those numbers-based things were, did you still make it so that it was in favor of your staff, because COVID was not, And I don't know if people looked at that and was like, oh, wait, I missed my numbers, but you're right. It wasn't my fault. I was out because of COVID.
Well, COVID was not, and the government was not very pro-business. And I don't want to turn this into an anti-government podcast, but they dealt us a set of rules, and I'll use air quotes for people not watching on YouTube and just listening, regulations or mandates.
Yeah.
Now, I spoke with our lawyer to work through that stuff, because what does this stuff really mean?
Right.
There's a lot of suggestions and things. And then if you went on social media, you would see everyone, and I know everyone was freaking out, so that's why, but you would see people claiming that they knew how it was supposed to be interpreted. When I spoke to a lawyer and when I spoke to the state, they said it is for the individual businesses to interpret, not for them to interpret for us.
I remember one thing was, if it's a must, it's a must. If it's a recommendation, it's your choice as to where that falls for you. And I loved that, because I'm like, okay, here's our guidelines. If it's a must, we're doing it. And if it's a recommendation, where does that sit and how we feel? And back to those number-based salons, I hope you learned from those and pivoted into 2022 with just better ways to set standards, because this isn't going away.
No, it's definitely not. So you've got to have the ability to pivot. We all learned that. If you're old school, you're going to have to step it up. You learned that. Or your team left. We saw that. Innovation was sort of thrust upon us as an industry.
Yeah,
so
and if you don't like innovation, you're in trouble.
You had to innovate. You had to be creative. You had to push boundaries. And we don't need to get into anything specific unless you want to, of course. But I think people were forced to
make changes,
try new things, and explore.
Sometimes not very comfortable things, but
Which shouldn't be.
Yeah, you do that, or you're doing the same thing, and it doesn't work in today's world. We talked about, at our salon, we do, is this affiliate links retail? We talk about that now?
Talk about whatever you want.
Okay. So I think even if you're a salon of the past and coming into the future, and you're like, I want retail in my salon, that's cool. But I think you could still have affiliate links through your sites to help those clients that, well, hell, maybe they are in quarantine and they need products and they want to get them from you, but they're not allowed to. If you have links on your website, now they can buy directly from you, still give you the credit, and it ships to their house. It's not just about being in a salon all the time.
Right. So let's talk about that for 2 seconds. Some people prefer to shop online. I'm one of them. We buy vehicles online. We buy most of our supplies for the house and for the business online. That doesn't mean we're anti brick and mortar. If you want retail in your salon, have it. When you look at businesses, for example, say you love Target, right? Who doesn't? I mean, I don't know if I love Target, but either way, right? Target. So a lot of people do.
My sweater is from Target.
Perfect. Look at that. You can go to a Target and purchase things. You can also go on Target.com. So there's no reason that your salon can't sell to both groups of people. And they should.
2022, you should have that as an option.
Yes. We can talk about in a different episode why affiliate links might be a better option strictly.
Yes.
But for now, just test it out.
Even to have the option would be amazing. Test it out. Yeah, I agree.
Stop posting on Instagram that people need to buy from you. They don't.
Or give them better options of why.
Right. So people don't need to buy from you. They don't even need to go to you for their hair. They choose to. So all that passive aggressive stuff, I know everyone listening has probably heard me rant about passive aggressive posts, but here we are. So the pandemic gave us a bunch of rules and compliance things and all sorts of new stuff that we had to deal with. And I think for the most part, we made it through. So what do we have? Like, let's move forward. And do you have anything else for that?
I think those were good.
Those are good, right?
Yeah.
And there are definitely, not probably, a million lessons.
There's a bunch, but I think those are some big ones to think about, and think about what you did during that or what you didn't do. And maybe it's time to try some new stuff.
I think that's one of the hardest things for people, leaders, owners, because the ego takes a hit. You have to admit that your way is not the best way.
Yeah.
I admit that our way is not the best way, even when we make a change that we think is for the better.
Yeah. And you have to be okay that not everybody's going to like the changes that you're making.
Correct.
And that's not, that for me, that's personally not always easy.
That's an ego thing.
Yeah.
And
I like to be liked. I say that often.
It's difficult, but yeah, you've got to navigate through that stuff, and you have to progress and become better and challenge yourself. And that's where we'll leave it.
Agreed.
I think we're going to do a goal setting episode, right? Coming up. So little teaser there. So some predictions and some insights for 2022. Like, okay, so we made it through that bullshit. Now, where are we going? So I think for the first one I have on my list, and these are not in any sort of order, I think salons are finally going to realize that they need to start streamlining their business.
I would agree.
And running a business as a fucking business. Mm-hmm. Not as your friends are coming to get their hair done, and then, you know, you passively aggressively post on Instagram that about your cancellation policy. Run it as an actual fucking business.
Right.
If you want to make money. So what does that look like?
And be professional.
Yes. Well, let's start. That's perfect place to start. As the owner of a business, you must be professional. Mm-hmm. Unless your business is based on you, on your personality, or you're a comedian or something like that. But a salon owner, like, come on, you've got to be professional. Mm-hmm. So I think, I keep saying I think. I don't think. I know these things. I'm just trying to be polite. A lot of salons and barbershops don't have online booking.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's just a random thought, but
again, it goes back to this online presence. It's huge, and it's where it's going.
Agreed.
We talk about all the time, like even at some point removing the phone because we want it to be online. We don't need to hear, like the worst thing you want to hear when you're doing your client's hair is the phone ringing. It's just an annoying disturbance.
And it's 2022.
So people are just doing most of their stuff online. Provide them with the right place to get there. Let it make it easy for them to navigate it, and that is going to be your success.
Set it up.
Yeah.
You can. There are so many options. You can get a virtual assistant. You can get online booking that sort of answers frequently asked questions. You can set things up in all sorts of different ways. Mm-hmm. I think that there's too much friction for the modern consumer in most businesses. Mm-hmm. And that it starts
like too many options, you mean? When you say friction, what do you mean?
Too many steps.
Oh, steps. Gotcha.
Too many things that prevent me from A to B. Like, I just want to make a purchase. Like, when I go online, I want to book the haircut. I don't want to do a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
When I get to a salon, I want to be taken to the chair. When I get to a barbershop, I want to be taken to the chair.
Mm-hmm. Simple.
So there's too many steps. And I think that another thing I've seen is no appointments. I know this is more for barbershops. I think that it's time for barbershops to probably step into 2022 or even into 2017
Agreed.
And take appointments. I actually read the other day, somebody was saying online, appointments are for salons. We don't do appointments. Show up or don't. I don't care. Well, you don't care now. But when you were shut down, you probably cared.
Right.
Especially when, like in our state, we had
or let walk-ins come in too and still take appointments. I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. I think there's too many steps. Another one is like the cash only. I know, again, that's a lot of shops that I see. They'll have like an ATM machine, or they'll have.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. Or they'll have
oh my God.
We're cash only. Like, you're not smarter than the government. You're not. So I don't know what you think you're doing with cash only, but you're not you're not truly hiding any money.
Many
stupid
simple ways to take other forms of payment, and the fees now are so minimal that like it just looks unprofessional.
I agree. Super unprofessional. So the next thing I have in my notes is I think we're going to see a decline in some of the less professional apps and solutions, like something like Venmo. We see Venmo a lot in this industry. People put QR codes up, Venmo me or whatever. Venmo was not designed and is not designed for that transaction.
No, and there are other options that are business professional that work instead of Venmo that your salon should have.
And would comply with
all of the rules.
State and federal regulations.
Yes.
Because Venmo does not. And I spoke with our
accountant.
I don't know why. I always forget the freaking term, his title.
That's okay. It's accountant. I knew where you were
He's
going.
an accountant, yes. And we've talked about this before, but he's an enrolled agent, which means that he has like a direct
all these
line,
certified,
a direct line to the IRS.
Yeah.
The IRS actually, and we'll talk about this in a different episode, but the IRS actually defers to them as experts.
Yes.
Okay. And he said, if you're using Venmo, for example, that's a big one.
And you're seeing it now, people saying, please do not Venmo me.
Now, because people are realizing
Yeah.
if you're using Venmo, or even if your staff is using Venmo for tips, you will get caught.
Mm-hmm.
It is a matter of time.
Yeah.
And right now, I think with fees and everything, it's 1.5 to 2.5 times the amount that you would have paid.
Yeah.
So you should just
And there's
pay
so
it.
many better options.
Yeah. Yeah. So playing off of that, I do think we're going to see an uptick in salon tech, because that kind of goes hand in hand with,
I hope we do,
with making a more frictionless experience for not only our clients, but our staffs.
for the staff. Yeah. There's so many options out there to bring you out of 1980. I don't know what to say. I can keep going on that one.
There are a lot of solutions. So from a booking software, you can have something that's super simple, like a Square.
Yep.
You book your appointment, that's it.
Yeah. To color management with like not writing your formulas on index cards anymore, or having a book, like to an actual, like we use Vish. So it's an actual system that the scale talks to the iPad, stores all of our formulas, and then makes it really easy for reorder, because
communicates with the front computer so that at checkout, it's all accounted for. Our pricing is all inclusive now, but if you're an a la carte pricing structure,
right. But you could also help
pricing
you
in a second, but
look at your pricing and making sure that
it tracks everything,
Yeah.
because most people I've seen in the past, like at salons, people are like, how do you account for what you've used? Oh, we rip the tab off and throw it in a bowl.
Any color management system is like a necessity in all salons. And then like we use the EcoHeads. Ping. Mm-hmm. We use Ping from EcoHeads. How you say that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that mixes the color. So first of all, that cuts down on all the aroma that comes out of the chemicals. And we use clean beauty products, but there's still chemicals. And it also helps cut down on 30% of waste. So it has the environmental impact also.
So that all that stuff is not, I know in the creative field, a lot of times people are resistant to change and they're resistant to these technologies.
I think it opens up the creativity.
This stuff is not even new. Vish has been around for a while.
Yeah.
EcoHeads have been around for a while. A lot of the other tech solutions that we use have been around. Freestylist has been around for a while. Yeah. Like, these aren't new things. So if you're not on board with these things, when salons, this isn't a threat either, but when salons like ours that are on board with these technologies take the next jump, like what's the next version of this salon look like? Now you're that much further behind.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to just keep progressing. Like that's just how it goes.
I think experience is going to take a jump forward in the consumer's eyes. And I'll give you an example. I read a statistic somewhere that was like, whatever X amount of percent of people feel that they don't even get a proper consultation.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
In a salon. And I want to say it was like high 80s.
That would make sense to me.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now, you might think, well, I have a full book. I don't really care. Well, you might not have a full book if we get hit with another shitstorm or whatever. So you might want to start caring.
Yeah. And if you have a full book and you're like, I can't do it, you can, again, use technology. There's virtual consultations. I know people that are so busy that are using like online forms they send people. So they're still trying to do that, but in their own way. And that's really what I think coming out of the last 2 years is like, you kind of can start doing it however is best for you, which is really cool.
Agreed. And definitely like your clients are going to start to notice. Clients notice that there are options now, and some options stand out. Some options are really good. And I know that salon clients tend to be loyal and whatnot, but
yeah, and they get excited about new stuff.
That doesn't mean they stay.
Right. Well,
Right.
Just
If
like
you're
anything,
if
you
you're
could
the
be
same,
bored.
if everything is the same, I might not notice. Complacency, the thing about complacency is that it creeps in. It's little by little. You get comfortable every day, get a little more comfortable and a little more comfortable. And then when you see something shiny and new, it's like, ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe I don't want to go see my barber that I've been seeing for 20 years because he's doing the same stuff that he was doing 20 years ago.
Right.
I'm not the same person.
Right.
I want something new.
Even trickle in a little bit of new stuff.
I think, I don't know why I keep saying I think. I don't think. This is a good one here, but cleanliness is going to continue in 2022 to be a topic.
And
This is good.
needs to
This
be
is
a
good.
topic.
I am so confused by how many people were confused about cleaning.
Salons are gross.
During the
Sorry, they
salons
are.
and shops.
And I'm still in them
gross.
because I teach in them, and it's rare to see one that's top notch. I did recently, but it's rare.
If anybody's listening and you're curious and you're like, wow, they're speaking highly of themselves, I would invite you in. I will show you every square inch of our salon.
Yeah. And everything
I
they
will
have
go
in place.
over all of our systems for cleaning, sanitation, all those things.
I'm proud of it.
And I would argue that we are in the top probably 1% of salons as far as cleanliness and sanitation.
You know me, I've been in the industry 62 years, and I've never seen anyone as clean as ours.
63 years, 2022.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, add
wow.
the year.
It's crazy.
I'm a year older.
So one of the changes that we made that I think a lot of stylists and owners would be, they would benefit by at least paying attention is we don't double book anymore.
Yeah.
And our clients love it.
It's amazing. So interestingly enough, someone had reached out the other day. She was actually a mentor of mine when I started my career. She still does hair. And she was asking about that, the double booking. Actually, her question was, do your clients get mad when you take clients in between? And I said, I don't double book anymore. And she's like, I could never do that. I'm like, honestly, it was tricky for me in the beginning. I actually would just do laps around the salon because I didn't know what to do with myself. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait, I'm going to sit down and actually chat with people, or I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to have my lunch. And now I couldn't do it the other way. It is so enjoyable at the end of the day. I'm not as exhausted. My body doesn't hurt. And I am giving every client that comes in 100%. And they deserve that. And it's really fun.
They do. And eventually your clients are going to get, we'll touch on why in a few minutes, but your clients are going to eventually get annoyed with their experience.
Yeah. I had breakfast with my little client who's 80 years old, and she's been my client for 20 years.
That's awesome.
And she brought me a muffin. First time ever. And I learned about her life in a way I'd never known, and it was just amazing. And yeah, I think clients are going to get sick of getting pushed around to assistants, random people shampooing them, and moving in and out of chairs. And also, it's not
because you don't know how to charge correctly.
It's also the sanitation part. If you keep moving people in and out of every chair and you're not cleaning it, there's another whole part to it. Yes, and you're not charging correctly so that you don't have to double book.
So pricing, yes. Okay. So pricing structure changes are going to continue to come in 2022. Yeah. Hourly pricing, which is we'll do another episode. I think did we do an episode?
Yeah.
We'll do another episode on hourly pricing because every time I talk to people, there's a lot of confusion about it,
But that allows that non-double booking and a way to account for all of your time.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes. The big takeaways is that hourly pricing is super transparent and comprehensive to the client. Mm-hmm. It's fair across the board, and meaning to the client and to the stylist and to the salon. And people enjoy it. Yeah. It's just really, really easy.
Agreed.
I think that hourly pricing is done correctly because I see all these iterations of hourly pricing that people are putting out there now that I don't consider hourly pricing.
When it's done the right way.
I see people that are running a timer and then charging according to the timer, or they're charging on 15-minute increments, or no one else does that. So stop trying to find ways to have a la carte pricing if you want to make the switch. And I think that in the eyes of the consumer that they appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Here's the trick. When you don't over explain it, they appreciate it. Stop jumping on the phone and explaining or on social media or wherever you're talking to your clients and explaining for 15 minutes hourly pricing. Trust me, they get it. They have a mechanic.
Yeah.
They have a lawyer. They have tons of people that charge hourly. Tell them the rate, move on. Another big one that I think is coming, this is a prediction, but I think specialization is going to become more common.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think it needs to be. So a quick story. You've heard of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? So the founder, Ruth Fertel, I think that's how you say her name. And that's an honest I think, because I'm not sure. Ruth Fertel. Okay, she graduated at 19 with honors in chemistry and physics.
Cool.
Very cool.
Insane.
Right? That is insane. What would it make sense for her to do? She graduated with honors in chemistry and physics. Probably get into chemistry and physics.
Sure.
You know what she did?
Open a restaurant?
She got into restaurants. But what she did was she took her specialization and took her restaurant to the next level. So she applied her background in chemistry and physics.
That's cool.
To food.
Yeah.
So they serve these steaks on sizzling platters. They cook it at super high heat. And she actually developed, I believe, the machine that cooks those steaks.
Wow.
Because she had the background.
Yeah.
So when I say specializing, and I talk to our staff a lot about this, I don't mean being like, I want to specialize in lived-in color. What I mean is, what experience do you have outside? What life experience do you have? What education do you have from other fields that you can then take, and where does that intersect with hair or your lived-in color or
and
whatever you're doing?
And make you so happy.
But make you happy, yes, but set you apart.
Yeah.
Because if you scroll through Instagram, and that's the big one right now, so that's where we live. If you scroll through Instagram, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. There are 700,000 blonding specialists. There are 700,000 lived-in color specialists. Everyone's the same. Yeah. All of the pictures look the same. Everyone looks the same. So I think that's a big one. Specialization.
Yeah, and I think
real specialization.
I think it's a challenge because I can tell you from my own experience, I've been doing hair.
Well, it takes questioning yourself and your knowledge base and what you're willing to put out there, because it's going to be different.
Right.
Everyone said that woman Ruth should not get into restaurants.
And she killed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. So I think from my standpoint, for 23 years, I've been basically a generalist. So when someone asks me like, what do you want to specialize in? I'm like, I don't know. Cause I came up in the world of hair of like, you take everybody, you do everything, and you just get it done. So it has been a challenge, and I'm still working on it as to what can I bring to my career to make it special for me. And that's 2022. We'll see where it goes.
Very cool. Another observation about you is you're moving more into a role of leader, and leaders need to be generalists. Okay. So you've sort of set yourself up. So
perfect.
I think the saying is specialists work for generalists.
Okay.
It's not that I don't know how to do it. It's that I can hire someone to do it.
Yeah.
Could I step in and do it? Yes. Do I want to? Probably not.
Right. Well, then I'm moving in the right direction.
I would say.
Great.
One of the things, and this will be controversial, but one of the predictions I have is that you're going to start to see, because people talk about renting is the future versus commission salons is the future. Here's the deal. Renting is now. Mm-hmm. It's not the future. People already rent.
Yeah, it's
currently.
Yeah.
It's not new.
No.
If you're just moving into renting, it doesn't make it new. It's new for you. I get
You should almost be like, what's next?
You should be what's next.
Yeah, because that's been for so long.
One of my predictions is, and I don't know if it'll happen this year, but it would make sense. It could be a 2023 thing. Is that I think you're going to start to see older stylists, older in the career, not older
age-wise. Seasoned
veteran stylists that moved to rental, take a step to commission. Mm-hmm. Here's why I say that.
I have my own point on that.
Everything is cyclical. So history repeats itself, okay? People want to feel certain things. They want to be involved in communities. They want to be attached to something that's larger than themselves.
And they're missing
I
all of
am
that.
not knocking rental situations. I'm not knocking it at all. If it's what you want to do, go for it. What I am going to say is 100% of time that I've talked to people,
Yes.
there is something missing.
I have a lot of professional friends that are renting that. It has now just become a job. It's like boring to them. Like, they love their clients, don't get me wrong, but they miss the camaraderie of being in a salon, and they couldn't find a salon that was led well to keep them there. So if those commission salons
salon
can
owners,
step up their leadership, give the freedoms, and create an amazing atmosphere, these people are looking for that. And that's going to be more important than anything else that they're doing right now, because that's going to drive their creativity.
Agreed. And one of the things I say all the time is that a salon owner should be doing is create a blah. I don't know where that sentence went. Salon owners, as a leader, you should be constantly creating opportunity for your team. If you don't want them to leave,
yes.
They don't know that there are other options out there. So I see people that are like, well, you go from school to a commission salon, you build your clientele, and then you go rent. That's the end game. Well, when you do that, you're missing those other things. You don't realize it today or tomorrow, but eventually down the road, actually, you just talked to somebody recently. I was there. I don't know how long they've been renting, a few months, already over it. Mm-hmm. And this is somebody that's been a professional stylist for
longer than me.
Okay. So 64 years, 65 years.
Yeah.
She looks good.
She does.
So I think people realize that it's lonely. They miss the team environment, the collaboration and all that, and just the energy and buzz. I'm not saying that there aren't rental salons, I'm sure, that are buzzing. I'm sure there are rental salons that are like a nightclub. Yeah. I'm sure there's some rental salons out there that are crushing.
On average, though, that's not
from what we hear.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, from the people I talk to.
I also think that people are going to figure out how to do math. And yes, that's a little bit of sarcasm, but you're going to finally realize that you're not making much more money for all the extra work you're doing.
Yes.
Will you make more money? Maybe. Will you suddenly be in charge of purchasing everything that you need?
20 other fucking jobs.
Things, working with software companies, marketing.
Hiring an accountant. If you're an independent person and you don't have a bookkeeper, get one now.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've heard that from people.
Yeah.
They're like, should I have that? I'm like, what have you been doing? You're going to be screwed. Anyways, this isn't about that. But yeah, you can make more money because you're
doing
working more
work. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You should make more money.
Yeah.
It's yeah. All right. Where are we going next? So I think that the licensure conversation is going to continue. So everyone, what I mean by that is whether you think we should have licensure or not is irrelevant. We'll talk about that in a different podcast. I have the show notes already written up for that one.
It'll be good.
Everyone freaked out recently because some states decided to relax licensure. Here's what really happened. Well, first of all, everyone freaked out and they were like, now anyone can do hair without a license. First of all, that would never impact you at all. That won't. And we'll get into an episode and I will explain why that won't impact you. But what happened, so for example, our governor in New Hampshire relaxed the laws on doing hair at home and not charging.
Right. So that
technically, if you're a mom and you cut your kid's hair, that was technically illegal in New Hampshire.
Right. I was going to say, so that our neighbor, Miss Debbie, who cuts her kid's hair, is not going to get in trouble.
Right. Now,
because that's stupid.
Now, would they get in trouble? No, but that's, I've never heard of somebody, but the law was in place. So that's what the governors were doing. Yeah. They weren't taking away licensure. So step one is
they were stepping into the modern world.
Yes. And take a fucking chill pill. Here. That's not, I don't even know what a chill pill is, but I want one. I'll take two. Relax.
Yeah.
Like some mom cutting their kid's hair. Like read what the bills say before you freak out, because I guarantee that.
And that's just it.
A lot of
people
don't.
Out.
Yeah, they just look at, oh, this is coming from California. Must be true. State's a mess. Anyways, I digress. I think that wrap it up.
Oh, I don't care.
Okay, let's wrap it up. So I think that the pandemic taught stylists and barbers that we're not essential and we're not equipped to prevent the spread of viruses. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why anybody thinks this industry is essential. If we don't go to work tomorrow, no one dies.
And you don't want to take away from the people that truly are essential. Come on. Like,
yeah, I think it's a joke when people are like,
ridiculous.
Hairstylists are essential. False.
That's because most hairstylists have such an ego that they feel they need to be that important. And just because you got Barberside certified, and I think that's a whole other thing.
What a joke.
Like, we know cleanliness or whatever. Trust me, I've seen...
No, you don't.
Millions of salons, and they are still not clean today after all that. All of those stating all their certifications, and they're still not up to par.
I did the Barberside certifications to see what they looked like, and they were an ad for Barberside. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was just
like a commercial for Barberside.
It was ridiculous.
I think that's a positive, though. A lot of people are like triggered, or if anybody's listening to this and they're like, "Oh, you don't want licensure, and we're not essential." Correct. Yes, that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, I can go
because
into that.
I think that it opens up opportunities. We need to ask better questions instead of just fighting everybody when things don't go our way. I'm doing air quotes for people not watching.
Or you think it's going to affect you in a way it's not.
Well, so I want to ask the question: if we're not essential, then where do we fit? Are we a luxury?
I mean,
are we truly a luxury? Here's a follow-up question. Sure. If we're a luxury, why aren't we treating it that way? Why aren't we pricing accurately?
Great point.
What conversations can we have based on that thought? Obviously, pricing is one.
Yeah.
Right? I think in closing, we learned a lot through the last 2 years. And we will continue to learn.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea now. I think
or you hope
everyone got shaken up a little bit, and I think we're all like, And
I think it goes back to, what are your core values? What are your mission statement? Where are you going?
Always go back to that.
And where do you need to move forward? Like, even though you may have those values laid out, it doesn't mean that they're your same values at the beginning of the year they are at the end of the year, which means that you are redoing them and re-ramping them up to what you want to see for your next pivot in your business. Don't keep the same ones for the 20 years you're open. Like, you have to look at that and make sure they still fit what you're trying to do. Or if you don't have any, create them.
I love that. Let's wrap on that.
Okay.
That sounds good. So, like, one more. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for listening.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Gwen, you want to say hi? Here's Gwen. Say hi. No, she's being shy. All right, thanks for listening. And we will talk to you soon. Let's have a great year together.